So, I think I'm live. I can't tell for real. But y'all are gonna have to say something to me in the chat if I am. Can't tell. But I have a bit of insomnia. And technically, it's not insomnia. I just got stuff that I'm supposed to have done and I've not finished it. Um, I'm gonna attempt to work on it today. I don't know if I can. Because normally this thing will glitch out and do all kinds of, nonsense. But I'm gonna see. Hold up. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Let me see what's going on here. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Go back. There we go. So, today I believe I will do um, a cover. And I wonder. Oh, I can hear myself effing up. So there we go. Let's see. First of all, my cover is turned the wrong way. The funny thing about Facebook is the way that they do covers and the dimensions is that they're not quite a 16 by 9. But you can probably still do a 16 by 9 and get away with it. Especially the new Facebook that they're starting to do is they've rolled out beta for a lot of people. And so it's a little closer to 16 by 9, but it's still weird. I don't know why they don't do that. It would make more sense to do a 16 by 9, but they don't. But I'm just going to rotate this. I like to go ahead and find my centers. And I like to kind of concentrate on my centers. I don't know why I drew that there. Just get rid of it, but I'm probably going to use it later. I have no clue what I'm going to do. So I have a group that I have recently started, and it's called Mini Media Ministry. Basically, it came about because when I was put in the position of media ministry leader at my church, there wasn't much of a technical way for me to learn anything. I pretty much just had to fly by the seat of my pants. God said, this is what you're going to do. He gave me tons of spiritual instruction, but there wasn't a whole lot of wasn't a whole lot of any other kind of instruction. And I just kind of had to go with it. So I created Mini Media Ministry, the group on Facebook, simply because there wasn't enough advice for smaller churches. There was a ton of advice for huge churches and, these massive churches that had, money to do stuff. But we didn't have money. Like, we had no money. So dealing with pretty much a zero budget. And, even the church may have had money, but it just didn't seem like it was something that we should have just through at it. I just kind of knew that there was always a free answer. When I was growing up, my mom always made a way out of nothing. It seemed like we had no money. We were always broke, but we never really wanted for anything either. And it was her resourcefulness that kind of um, provided for us. Even if you know things did not always look like you know didn't always look like we had it. YouTube told me I was live. I'm like, thank you. I know. Most appreciated though. But I made a little logo for Mini Media Ministry, and I did it the other day, and I'm gonna show it to you. Bam! It's cute. Bam! It's like Dashi. I love Dashi. But it's 3M's, Mini Media Ministry, and they're growing, which is exactly what I think you always have to keep in mind when you're dealing with, media ministry on a smaller, probably less, affordable scale. Keep in mind that you're growing, and not to despise humble beginnings. That growth is important, and it's important to somebody. Somebody is, growing in their faith because of your faithfulness when you were small. So always remember that you're not always going to stay small. You will grow. But in the meantime, don't think that you can't still do big things. Helvetica. I mean, it's like super, aesthetic, but I don't care for it. Ugh, bad ball. Much more partial to Montserrat. I've always loved this font. Let's pull open some. Now, this isn't the font that logo was based off of. It's actually based off of Genesso. I think that's his, yeah, Genesso. But Genesso really doesn't have a thin. It's just all huge. I think Montserrat is, kind of thin, kind of sleek, and it makes a good contrast to the blocky, thick M's. My nose. Is anybody else dying from like freaking sinuses? Because I am. Sinuses are whooping my tail. Mm. Let's see here. So one thing that'll help you a lot on your media ministry journey, if you're just starting out, is going to be stock photos. For me, I frequently am asked to create graphics really, 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 really fast. Like on a typical Sunday morning. Now, these past few Sundays have not been typical, but on a typical Sunday morning, it's not unheard of for me to have to put together, slides and titles within about, let's say, an hour, 45 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour. And one of the things that helped me tremendously is Pexels, pexels.com, and it's like pixels but with an E. So PEXELS.com. And finding a picture there and being able to drop it in is, super, super helpful. And there are a few tricks that I kind of use that will get me through. And I'm going to show you a couple of those real quick. Hunting y'all a picture. I'm not even going to lie. I had no clue on how I was going to do this. If you're watching me, text me, chat with me. I am definitely listening. I am trying to stay awake. Let's see. None of these pictures really say me. Well, a couple of them do. I'm going to go with this one. It's kind of interesting, so I'm going to say yeah, we'll take that one. This is kind of neat. I don't really care for the Elvis, but I mean, it's kind of neat. So one thing that you can do is turn a picture black and white and then change the blending mode on it. And it gives you, something really cool that you can work with. I like to use soft light. I like to use screen from time to time. Multiply or whatever. We'll stick with soft light right now. And if you need to, and you can just drop the opacity a little bit. There you go. The other thing that I like to do a lot is to use patterns. So if you're not familiar with using patterns, and I'm assuming that everybody, that engages with mini media ministry is probably like, a newbie like I was. So one thing that you can do is you can upload your own patterns. The way you get to your patterns is you can either left click to get there, but I'd rather just, a quick double click in the gray area and it'll bring it up for you. And you can go down here to pattern overlay. Now usually it's gonna start off with some weird bubble thing, but you can put anything that you want there. You can put pre-made patterns there, or you can add in your own, and I made a couple of these, like this dots one I made, so I can make the dots bigger or smaller depending on what it is that I need. And putting that in just kind of adds a bit of interest. And if you put it on the blend mode of normal and you can adjust the opacity, it'll put the square there that's normally, just showing as normal. What I like to do is I like to change the blend mode, whether that's to multiply, to soft light. Overlay is frequently something I use. There we go, soft light, I guess. But one of my favorites is this one, the diagonal lines, and it just kind of adds an extra little charm. And you can make the lines as close or as spread out as you want, and you can make them as dark as you want or as light as you want. And then hit OK. And then you can bring back in your background, and that just adds to it. I'm gonna bring us back a little bit more color. So that's a quick trick. Let's see, what other tricks do I know? Ha ha ha. I know. So gradient maps. Gradient maps are super helpful because they change the colors of an entire composition all at one time. And the way that you get to it is you click this button down here and you can go down to gradient map. Now what happens is it turns all of your darks one color and all of your lights another color. So everything that's dark is going to be turned to some variation of red or whatever color that you pick on the bottom end. And then all of your light colors are going to be turned into whatever you pick on the top end. So it does not have to be white. It can be anything. So everywhere where white would have been is now pink. And everywhere that dark would have been is now dark blue. So the possibilities are endless of this. I really love this color combination, the orange and the purple. I use it frequently. And then you can swap it. It does not have to be, you know what I'm saying? You can do whatever you want with it. And to show you kind of how that's going to look on a photo, I'm going to bring the opacity up on this all the way back up, and I'm going to turn it normal. So as you can see, everywhere that it would have been dark is now white. Everywhere that it was light is now that red color. And you can do anything that you want with that. It does not have to be, it doesn't have to make sense for it to make a cool outcome. And that's what happens. That applies to anything that is below the gradient map. Anything above the gradient map will still remain the same. So if I wanted my logo to still be white, I could do that just by moving it above the gradient map. And then again, if this is a little too harsh, we can just lower the opacity. Wha-bam. Boom. Instant title card. Instant Facebook cover. Let's see, what other tricks do I know? And I think what I'll do is I'll put together like a formal video of how this all works. Um, what other tricks help me get through? Cutting things out super quickly. So, whenever you are doing graphics, cutting things out just kind of gives you that next level of, let's say, quality, because a lot of people don't take the time to cut things out. And so if you are doing that, it just ups everything like by a million. But if you've ever cut anything out, there's a few ways to do it. I like the most accurate way, which is using the pen tool. There are programs online that you can use that can help you cut things out. They don't always work with me. Sometimes I'll try them and then um, they'll do okay, but they'll give you jagged edges or, you know, something wild like that. So what I like to do is use a combination of things. I'll use the pen tool for when, and I'll show you here. Oh, somebody texted me. Let me hit them back. I'm gonna use this gorgeous young lady here, saving the jazz. So we got this lovely young lady on a solid background. Let's say that she is the face of Mini Media Ministry. She's not, of course. She's from Pexels. But if she was, there are a couple of things you can do. Now, right here, this is the quick selection tool. And basically what it does is it makes its best guess about what the subject is, and it'll highlight it, kind of as best it can. It's okay. Most of the time, it's okay. I'm not gonna, it's not the most accurate. And especially if you do too much, it'll be like, okay, well, I'm gonna pick the whole thing now. In order to keep it from doing that, or to reverse that, what you want to do is you want to hold the Alt key, because by default it's going to be on the plus up here, if you can see that. So there's a plus and there's a minus, and then there's just a general key. That adds to the selection, and then minus takes away from the selection. So if you want to swap between the plus and the if you want to swap between adding and subtracting, just hit the Alt key. And I don't know if y'all can see that. Let me see if I can see it. In the middle of there's a plus, and that plus turns into a minus. And then up here, you can see that it's changing. So, and as long as you hold that key, it's going to continue to do that function. When you let it go, it goes back to being plus. So all these edges where the marching ants are on the side, we want to go ahead and get rid of those, because that's not a part of our selection. And right now, this is an okay selection. As you can see, we've got a lot to desire around the hair area. We can do much better than that. I'm going to go in here and look at the edges on the actual image. Yeah, it's a little rough. Let's try to think about that again. Not bad, not bad, not bad. So what you want to do from there is you don't necessarily want to delete the background or anything like that. You just want to hit select and mask. Select and mask allows you to do a little bit more precise selecting. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to increase the radius. And the radius just increases where the edges are. And it'll even feather them a little bit if you don't want those edges that sharp. You can feather them just a tad. You can adjust the contrast. Let's see here. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. And it kind of shows the edge of what you're working with. I'm going to put this on black because I know that the background ultimately is probably going to be a little darker. And we're going to shift the edge in just a tad so that that white kind of goes away just a bit. Not much at all. Now, there's the situation of hair. I'm going to go ahead and take that because all of this right here is right. And I'm going to use another method to get the hair dealt with. So right now we're doing pretty okay. And that's the open bracket to get rid of that. I'm going to duplicate this layer because I don't want to lose my original. I'm going to go ahead and turn the bottom one off. I'm going to click over here. I'm going to right click. Right click, and then I'm going to hit, first I'm going to rasterize the layer. Rasterize. Yeah. And then I'm going to right click on the black box there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit apply layer mask. From here, a tool that I do, enjoy using is the background eraser tool. You can find that by right clicking on the eraser. Normally it's probably going to look like this by default, but you right click on that tool and it'll give you other tools that it has in the same category. Let's see here. probably gonna go in here where that gray color is. Let's see. Ooh. And I'm trying not to get too much into her hair. I'm gonna make that a little smaller. And basically what happens is the first place that you click, it's going to start to erase that color from the edge, and it's going to only erase that color. That's what this here is that it's going to take a sample of the color that you want to get rid of, and it's going to erase all of that color. There we go. I'm not a fan of that, but I have some options on dealing with that. Mm-mm. And it takes a while. You just kind of gotta figure out what's good, what's bad, and get rid of it. There we go. We'll zoom out and see how that looks. It doesn't look bad at all. And especially how long it would normally take you if you were like doing that with a pen tool. If you were gonna have to go around and cut every single one of those hairs out, that would be a nightmare. So the next thing that I want to do is, you see how we have these kind of scraggly pieces on the side. Not that her hair is scraggly, but but we have those pieces on the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually touch this up just a tad. I'm going to take the clone stamp, and I am going to minimize the brush quite a bit. I'm going to hit Alt, because Alt allows us to choose where we want that sample to come from, that point. And I'm going to drop the hardness down quite a bit. I'm not going to turn it all the way off. 12, 10, that's probably fine. I'm going to hit Alt, grab that sample, and as you can see in the brush, it does a kind of preview. And we're just going to add some hair back in there. Bam. Yep. There we go. Zoom in a bit. Hold down the space bar and it brings up the hand tool, and you can drag around a bit. I'm going to hit Alt and take another sample. I'm just going to bring the hair back a little bit. Now from here, I want to make that a little harder. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my hardness up quite a bit. I'm going to go 70. Grab another sample, and I'm going to shrink it quite a bit. And grab a sample from here. We want to go as close to where we already are in the piece, so it looks, kind of natural. And if you mess up, just, Control Z. Try it again. I think I made my brush a little too hard. It just comes about 45. There we go. It's a little better. Okay. Not bad. Now from here, I probably would address the teeth. You know, everything has to be perfect. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the dodge tool. I'm going to come in. Right now it's on midtones. I'm going to change the shadows. And we're just going to tap, 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 tap. There we go. I think I'm going to add a little dodge to the eyes too. You never want to do that too much because it makes your person look like an alien. But I think that's a marked improvement. And again, that's considerably quicker than, you know, if we were to do that with a pen tool. So now she's underneath the gradient map. And I think that'll do it. I think that'll work for my 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 Facebook cover. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Just let me know. And I think I'm gonna stop for the night. But if you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer them in the comment section. See you later.